topic of whether or not to persevere or to pivot. I was supposed to go on live yesterday. I do apologise. I was really tired from work. I was really stressed. I just want to come home, have my shower, and go in my bed. So I wasn't here yesterday, and I apologise for anybody that was expecting to see me yesterday. So today's topic is whether to persevere or pivot. I hope you all had a good day. It was a bit mad for me coming home, playing football in Tottenham and stuff, so I got caught in a bit of the traffic and everything else. My partner forgot his keys at home, so I'm going to have to get up and let him in when he gets home, but hopefully we'll have finished by then. So, to persevere or to pivot. To start off, I would like to discuss perseverance. So perseverance is the ability of continuing something despite obstacles. So perseverance, some people would say, is having the resilience to see through challenges when you have a goal. So perseverance can be in sports, perseverance can be in education, perseverance can be in business, and it can also be in your personal life, being able to persevere, learning new things, you know, having the perseverance to learn something even though you may not be able to get it straight away. So perseverance is a very, very valuable quality to have. Perseverance speaks of character. Perseverance can be very character building because obviously, as well as perseverance, you also need patience in regards to any long-term gratification. So perseverance is something that we all love. It's a delay in success. It can be perseverance can cost you a lot of effort and determination. Some people, when they migrate to different countries, it can be due to a lot of perseverance. Some people, hi Jetson Stewart, hope you had a good day. Today I'm talking about whether or not to persevere or to pivot. So originally I did title this live to persevere or to quit. But on reflection, I thought that was quite harsh just to have those two choices. Hi Indra-ish. Yeah, so at the beginning, I'm based in London. However, I am Ghanaian. I was born in Ghana. Hi Richard Brown. Yeah, so what I was saying is to persevere is something that's very character building. It can be due to the resilience that we all find when we're trying to achieve something long term. And as I said previously, it can be through it can be in sports, it can be in education, it can be in your personal life, in your relationships. To pivot is something different. So to pivot is to obviously change direction. And some people that are into basketball, they're already Scotland. What part of Scotland? I've been to Glasgow before. It's quite cold. But what part of Scotland are you from? Yeah, of course you can. That would be great, thanks. Okay, so in pivoting in basketball, it's five. Okay, no, I've never been there. Sounds really good. Yeah, so in basketball, to pivot is to change direction, and sometimes in life, people do pivot direction, change direction. This can be in business as well. It can be in service. It can be in delivering a service. It can be in strategy. So being able to pivot is a quality that shows that you're quite flexible, and it can show that you're open to changes in the market. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for joining the live. I really appreciate it. So the question is, I did change it from to persevere or to quit, and I changed it to persevere or to pivot, because sometimes in life it can be not as straightforward as to whether to continue something or to stop. The choice might be to pivot and change direction. Right, so if people do decide to pivot, this can indicate a decision to adjust to a change in circumstance. It can be, as I said, it shows that you're flexible, and it also shows that you're confident, and you always look for room to improve. So if you're willing to pivot, it shows that you're willing to look at things that you can improve in, and to adjust and to modify your service or your strategy or just your behavior. So sometimes, sometimes, um, some people say never ever quit, but in some circumstances you can pivot, and to pivot would mean to adapt or adjust what your service or your strategy is. In pivoting, I guess you won't feel like you've quit, you know. Some people feel like by quitting, it's like a failure. However, we can all learn from all experiences, and nobody should ever feel like they failed at anything, regardless of the outcome. Or all situations can be character building, and we are. It's possible to take lessons from one circumstance to the next, and that in itself is a great outcome, is a great achievement. So if you're in a situation and you're not sure if you should persevere or pivot, look at the pros and cons. Look at the facts. See if anything has changed which would justify you pivoting. And to pivot would just mean that you apply your present day strategy to the same situation. So an example would be what's an example? So an example is J.K. Rowling, that wrote the Harry Potter series. Apparently, she was rejected by at least 12 publishers before somebody actually took on Harry Potter. So, despite being rejected at least 12 times by a publisher, she didn't stop. She just pivoted to other publishers. Do you see? So, I believe one of her quotes is that she wasn't just trying to gain a publisher herself, she was actually marketing herself to the publishing market. So, despite being rejected by 12 publishers, she understood that the bigger picture was making herself more and more appealing to the publishing market in general. And this is the type of thing that you need to remember. If you're in a circumstance, if you're in a situation and you feel that it's really difficult to continue, think about the bigger picture, think about ways you can modify your service or your strategy or yourself, and also think about the changing face of your audience. So you just may need to adapt, you just may need to tweak certain things rather than just to throw in the towel. There's many situations where people have changed strategies. That is not a bad thing, that's a very good thing. And it also shows that you're emotionally intelligent and that you're open to understanding that circumstances can change. So in regards to people giving you advice to never ever ever quit, I don't agree with that. I don't believe that you should never ever quit, because sometimes you do need to regroup, reflect, and then go again, and possibly change your strategy or your service, or what it is you have to offer. It can even be in your personal life, it can be in relationships. There can be a time of pause to reflect and to take lessons going forward. So the reason why I done this live was just to encourage people that may think that in all things you should never ever quit. There may be people that may feel that in all things you should never ever pivot. I just want to encourage you that no, sometimes in life it is healthy to have a reflection and consider pivoting in a different direction in order to be successful. If anybody's got any examples from their own personal lives or even examples from work, I'd be happy to hear about it. Ways in which you have pivoted and found it to be a successful strategy instead of just persevering and continuing in the same thing you have done all along. I think they do that in I think they do that on the battlefield a lot as well, isn't it? Like plans are always changing. People don't just decide to do something and just stick to it just for the sake of sticking to it. Um, it also it's also a reflection on businesses that have pivoted to adapt to changing customer service demand, and so businesses that have been able to adapt and change what they do to keep up with the times. So an example would be Amazon. You know, when Amazon saw everybody going online, that's where they decided to be, and a lot of shops that just decided to stay solely on the high street. Some of them did go down. But yeah, another example is Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player. He played basketball, but he's invested in so many businesses, and he was one of the first major investors in Ring Doorbell. So I believe when he invested in Ring Doorbell, it wasn't common as it is now, but he just saw an opportunity and he went with it, despite originally being, you know, a basketball player. It just shows that literally we can all pivot into other things that that we can possibly gain from. Yeah, Scotland is a really good country. It's got some beautiful countryside in Scotland. If anybody decides to visit there, it's got beautiful countryside on the outskirts. Um, Fife, I think Fife is Fife one of the islands of Scotland. But yeah, so if anybody ever decides to go to Scotland, I would definitely recommend it. Also, as well, hearing the bagpipes play in the city centre sometimes was really, really very haunting. But yeah, the bagpipes sound really good if you can hear them live. But yeah, so that's basically all I have to persevere or to pivot. I think there's definitely times in all our lives when we need to consider changing direction, and it's not a failure, you know, it's not a negative thing, it's just part of being human, and it's also a good way to build up resilience, because resilience is in response to matters outside of your control, and being resilient, being flexible, being able to adapt and modify according to your circumstance is a really good quality, because life can be so unpredictable. Obviously, if you do have a strategy, or if you do have a long-term plan, or if you do have goals that you want to stick to and that you're very, very determined about, I definitely encourage you to persevere and to see them through, and you know, and do what your ambition um, do do what you do do what you've planned to do and achieve your ambition. However, all I would say is also be open to changing situations and modifying what you're doing. There have been times in my life where I wish that I had stopped banging my head against the wall and just changed my strategy. You know, there's times in my life that I wish that hadn't been so stuck on doing things a particular way, and I wish that I'd been willing to just, you know, be more open to doing things differently. Looking back, definitely. I think sometimes there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat, not literally, but there's definitely more than one way to do particular things. And yeah, if one way isn't working or if one way isn't to your liking, feel free to try a different way, and there's no shame in that. I think as well, sometimes people do quit where they could just pivot into something else. So it can be the all or nothing mentality. Some people have plans for total world domination, but they just don't want, something that's slightly less ambitious but still an achievement. I'd also say we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. Maybe if there are big goals that we haven't been able to achieve, we can modify that into smaller goals, and perhaps once we achieve those, we'll feel a lot more confident to continue. But what I will say is just be smart, be wise, talk to people around you that love you and want the best for you, and sometimes reconsider as to whether or not you should persevere in something or just pivot into a different direction and still have an achievement, but perhaps in a different way to what you originally planned. Um, what else? What else? What else? Yes, the same in sports. Um, I know of a few people that have persisted in some sports where perhaps it wasn't their strong point, and they've persisted in a particular sport. They haven't really gotten anywhere, but they could have pivoted into a different sport, which they probably wouldn't enjoy so much, but they would have been way more successful in. So that's another example of where instead of persevering in one direction, which hasn't been very fruitful, you can literally actually pivot into another sport, another direction, and it may be something that you're not really interested in, but you're very good at. So that's another example of pivoting. You know, if you're finding it really difficult to learn to play the piano, but you're great on the trumpet, why not just play the trumpet? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's pivoting. Um, yeah, and sometimes you do multiple pivots. Sometimes you change directions. Sometimes you change direction quite a few times until you find what you're successful in. And I believe that sometimes you do need to perhaps do things you don't really enjoy to be able to end up doing things that you do enjoy. So, as a means to an end, you may decide to go down one route, and as you're more and more successful in that route, you're able to change direction into what you really want to do. We've got an Airbnb in Ghana, and we're hoping to have that online by the summer. It's been a long road. It's been a long road, and we have pivoted in other directions when it seemed the best thing to do. And by pivoting, we've kept our ambition intact, and we've been able to branch out and do other things. So yeah, I would just encourage you. Um, don't feel like it's all or nothing. Um, or you may just decide that no, this is it. I'm going to persevere. I'm not going to stop. This is the road I'm going to go down, and I wish you all the best. But don't be don't rule out exploring other options that you can pivot into and may possibly be more successful in. So yeah, so that's all I have for you. I hope you all had a great day. I was so tired yesterday. Oh my gosh. When I got home, have you ever gotten home and you've had to relax in stages? Like as in you get home and you have to relax part one, relax part two. I was like that yesterday. I was, oh gosh, it was horrible. So I do apologize for not coming on as scheduled, but I decided to pivot and do it today instead. So we got someone in Glasgow. Have you got anyone from anywhere else? Thank you for liking the live. Please subscribe to my channel. I've got a long road ahead of me, but I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I have another live on, I think tomorrow. No, I have another live this weekend about how to date safely in Ghana. And this live will be for men. I will have a guest speaking from Ghana and giving advice on how to date safely in Ghana. I think some men might date abroad and get scammed. You know, there's a lot of romance scams out there, easy to fall into. And so this weekend, I'll just be doing a live with a guest from Ghana, giving tips to the man them about how to date safely in Ghana. So that's this weekend, and I hope you join me. Let me see what else I've got. So actually, I looked up while I was researching this. I looked up the difference between persistence and perseverance because I was thinking, is there a difference between perseverance and persistence? But persistence is when there are continual obstacles, and perseverance is when there's a delay or obstacles to success. Also, as well, I feel like in order to be able to persevere, you're usually quite independent in thoughts and independent in action to be able to persevere long term because hi Robbo from Newcastle. Hello Duck. Thank you. How's it up there in Newcastle? Is it Duck or Pets? I think it's Duck. Anyway, I hope you had a good day. Do you have any comments about whether to know to persevere or to pivot? I think we've all been at a point. I think we can all look back on points in our lives where we think to ourselves, it's canny. Canny. Okay, so it's not duck and it's not pet. It's canny. Okay. I thought it was duck. I thought, oh, you're right, duck. Was that Lancashire? Okay, canny. It's canny. Okay. The nightlife in Newcastle is wild. Yeah, it's pet. I thought so. Yeah, you're right, pet. Yeah, the nightlife in Newcastle is. Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, how are you? Is it sunny up in Newcastle? To be honest, I've been there before when it's really cold and everybody was wearing t-shirts and I thought, oh wow, aren't they cold? But yeah, um, Newcastle's a great area and we love the. Oh, that's fine. All the best. Yeah, make sure you go and yeah, go and study. Go and study. All the best, and you will be fine. And get a good night's sleep as well. Don't study all night. Yeah, it is cold. It looks sunny, but it's cold now. Until spring starts to behave itself. But yeah, good for you. Go and revise and all the best. Get lots of sleep. Have breakfast. Good for you. You'll be great. You'll be fine, pet. You too. Have a good day. Thank you for stopping by. Bye. Take care, Robbo. See, that's responsible. Actually studying for his exams. He'll be fine. and he's got the self-discipline to, you know, just pop in and then go back to his studies. And that's what we all need, self-discipline, in order to achieve our long-term goals. But all the best, Robbo. I know you will be fine. Joe is definitely removed. Thank you, Robbo. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, that guy definitely should have quit, but he's deleted now. I'll report to him later. But yeah, so don't be too hard on yourself. You know, sometimes you just know that you just need to pivot rather than persevere. And yeah, it's fine. And there's so much out there that we can all do. There's so much things that we can all be part of. And so no one, you shouldn't really feel pressured by one ambition. There's so many ways, there's so many different directions, you know, people can go into now. But so that's it really. Don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, so autobiographies. I love reading autobiographies. I love reading autobiographies of public figures. When you do read autobiographies, you usually, it's a good way to understand and see that, you know, no, it's rare for people to start out successful, and it's usually after a good while, after a lot of perseverance and pivoting. I mean, a lot of footballers, I know Tottenham's playing tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah. So you can tell I do not know what the score is. Who knows, like if I'm even on the right side of the game, but of the match. But yeah, even in football, some people they start out playing in one position and they pivot into another. I believe Harry Kane used to be a goalkeeper. So Harry Kane was a goalkeeper before he became a striker. Is he a striker? I know he's in Germany now, but yeah. So he started out as a goalkeeper, and there was a theory that the reason why he was able to score really well is because as a goalkeeper he kind of knew the kind of goals that would get past the keeper. So it's like he had an added insight when he would score goals because of his years as a goalkeeper. So yeah, so he pivoted into playing as a striker, is it? And yeah, and he's been really successful. So, you know, pivoting is, you know, it has its pros and cons. Try not to be stubborn and just stuck in one direction of what you want to do. My partner's home now. It's been great seeing you on live, and I'll be back on live over the weekend. Thank you. Bye. All the best for the exams, Robbo. And bye to Newcastle, and bye to Scotland.